Okey, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Okey, apa khabar semua? Okey, diharap semua berada di dalam keadaan sihat sejahtera. Okey, dalam keadaan ada yang kawasan PKP, ada yang PKPD, ada yang PK sendiri. Okey. So alhamdulillah. So sekali lagi, okey, hari ini kami dari Kesatuan Rugby Negeri Johor, mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada anda semua yang hadir untuk sesi kita pada hari ini. Okey, sesi mingguan kita. Kita dah ini yang minggu yang keempat atau yang kelima kalau tak silap saya. Okey, kita bersama. Okey, yang mana kami membawa beberapa orang pakar-pakar dari segi pengurusan pasukan, persediaan pasukan, jurulatih dan juga mereka-mereka yang sentiasa terlibat di dalam bidang sukan rugby terutamanya. Okey. Jadi hari ini kita sangat bertuah kerana pada hari ini kita akan bersama Dr. Nasno Juzaili bin Muhammad Nasiruddin, Pensyarakanan Jabatan Pengajian Sukan, Fakulti Pengajian Pendidikan Universiti Putra Malaysia. Dengan tajuk kita pada hari ini iaitu The Importance of Periodization in Rugby. Apa itu periodization? Sama-sama kita akan jelaskan lagi bersama beliau. Sedikit profil beliau. Kita tengok. Beliau adalah mengambil Bachelor Science Sport Science untuk exercise psikologi di Universiti Melaya dan lanjutkan masters melanjutkan masters beliau di Western Michigan University, Kalamazoo, Michigan, USA, dan seterusnya PhD bahagian kinesiologi, sport pedagogy di Texas A&M University College Station, Texas, USA. Kalau tak silap saya, untuk masters dan PhD ni dia menghabiskan masa lebih kurang 10 tahun di United States of America. Sangat lama orang cakap berhijrah ke negara United States. Jadi saya rasa Dr. Nasno ni atau dikenali sebagai Dr. Samba. Senang saya panggil Dr. Samba lah kot. Bukan asing dalam sukan rugby di Malaysia. Beliau juga adalah bekas pemain kebangsaan. So kalau dalam ni ada orang cakap sedara-sedara. Bekas pelajar alumni Sekolah Datuk Abdul Razak Seremban. Beliau pernah belajar di UTM, beliau pernah belajar di UM, dan juga sekejap di UPM. Jadi beliau ni banyak universiti ni. Jadi kita tengok sikit lah ni sedikit gambar-gambar beliau semasa menjaga pasukan fencing. Ini pengalaman beliau menjaga pasukan fencing dan berjaya melalui periodization untuk pasukan fencing sehingga the first Olympian fencing telah berjaya melayakkan diri ke sukan Olimpik di bawah program beliau. Sebab beliau masa itu bersama ISN untuk high profile punya atlet. So ini di universiti beliau. So memang senang nak cam sebab dekat tengah-tengah tu je yang lain. Sebab yang lain tu semua cerah, tapi ada seorang je kat tengah-tengah. So senang nak cam. Tapi orang cakap rugby ni tidak dapat dilarikan dengan mesti nak dekat di celah-celah wanita. That's the most important thing. That's about rugby. It's all about rugby. Then ini kami pernah bersama. Cuma dalam ni pun ada juga salah seorang rakan pasukan kami yang duduk tengah-tengah dekat atas bukit tu. Tuan Zul Husni. Ada dalam ni. Jadi dengan ini saya tak nak membuang masa. So dengan segala hormatnya saya ingin menjemput kita punya panel hari ini. Dr. Nasno Juzaili ataupun Dr. Samba untuk meneruskan sesi kita pada hari ini.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Howdy and a very good afternoon. Well, literally this workshop is going to be like a mix of language. I'm sorry, I know there are couples of international student over here and then international foreign student over here, but I will try to mix out my explanation with Malay language and English. Okay, is it okay, y'all?
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, about my PowerPoint after this workshop saya akan literally share my PowerPoint ke Killer. So anything nak PowerPoint daripada Killer ataupun Rugby Online, diorang akan share saya punya PowerPoint. But my PowerPoint is in English, okay?
Doktor, sebelum start slide tu boleh tak cerita sikit sebelum ni pengalaman you dengan pasukan rugby and everything, background you sikit lah.
Okay.
Sebelum you berlepas ke United States.
Okay. Okay. Saya pasukan rugby mana? As analyst or as player?
As a player, as an analyst, as a presentation team and everything. So maybe you ada pengalaman-pengalaman sebelum ni. Boleh you kongsi sikit? You kena background diri you sikit. Saya tadi bagi background simple-simple je tu.
Okay.
Mungkin you ada in details lah sikit.
Okay, sikit sebanyak orang boleh panggil saya Samba. Okay, kebanyakan all these teammates, my teammates semua panggil saya Samba. Saya dulu rugby, saya started dengan bola masa sekolah rendah. Lepas tu ke Kedah, switch ke rugby. Lepas tu daripada rugby tu yalah, saya tengok sikit sampai main Negeri Sembilan. Lepas tu tapi one of the I think figure that really influence my development as an athlete, Cikgu Coco dengan Cikgu Chot lah masa sekolah, from like introductory of rugby until intermediate. Lepas tu bila senior dah advance rugby skill, dah ke Pak Hitam, ke Thomas Ikama senior. So literally saya buka sikit sebab saya rasa macam main rugby ni dekat Malaysia literally in term of education, sebab ramai education, we use rugby as a tools to develop students character, okay, daripada kecil tu and then untuk jadi manusia. That's the reason of rugby tools, okay, in physical education punya part. Lepas tu bila saya dah habis zaman saya main until 2006, saya rasa macam tak cukup ilmu, okay. Memang tak pernah cukup ilmu pun untuk to contribute something dekat rugby whereby this is my passion. Lepas tu saya rasa saya kena belajar dan my passion, my hobby is literally reading books lah. Tuan Killer tahu, Nofazrin tahu. Saya dengan Killer pun daripada kecil. Lepas tu lepas habis universiti, my first job was with Petronas. Lepas tu my second job was with ISN lah, at ISN. Dekat ISN saya performance analyst dekat sana, and then during that time saya head of performance analyst untuk analysis untuk research. Kemudian saya lead high performance team untuk fencing. Masa tu there's a lot of macam issue sebab fencing literally is not sukan yang orang boleh panggil tradisi kita, hoki, bola, untuk layak ke Olimpik. So I have to convince zaman tu CEO Dr. Ramlan untuk kita kasih full support ke fencing because dia potential, okay, untuk layak ke Olimpik. And we program it literally like 4 years, okay. That program literally 4 years, walaupun saya tinggal 3 tahun daripada program tu sebab masa tu saya dah start join UPM. Lepas tu saya let go program and then saya flew to US to pursue my masters and PhD. Dekat US saya was performance analyst for my Texas A&M Rugby University. Masa tu during my PhD time dengan masa saya lepas saya habis PhD. And my teaching experiences over there, I taught dekat A&M for 3 years, being a lecturer tu. So balance what my passion about, lepas tu apa yang saya belajar dekat sana. I enjoy my life over there. That was the moment yang saya rasa saya banyak belajar, dan at one time saya rasa dah lama sangat kot. I think better to come back and contribute something dekat Malaysia. Itu sajalah saya punya sedikit sebanyak.
Okay, banyak tu kalau nak cerita memang in detail, memang jauh lah dia punya pergi kan. Okay, so mungkin ramai yang dah tak sabar sebenarnya nak tahu sebenarnya apa itu periodization. So maybe you can start you punya station untuk kita lebih tahu macam mana sebenarnya untuk lakukan periodization tu in the right way. Mungkin ada yang dah buat tapi in the right way, in the proper way. Okay, silakan Dr. Samba.
Okay, throughout my presentation, I wish and I hope that kita boleh interact two ways communication, okay? Saya tak kisah interrupt while I'm presenting and then I can answer directly what does it mean, okay? So dalam presentation ni, okay, saya share slide saya. Okay. Saya pasti ramai yang educators, teachers, PE teachers, literally coaches memang dah buat plan, but then literally plan not a structured plan. So bila kita tak ada structured plan, proper planning, that's where Benjamin Franklin literally put his word during his time. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So literally and pengalaman saya dekat IXN dan dekat Amerika, dekat Texas, dekat Michigan, literally apa yang membezakan coach university, coach sekolah, even sekolah ialah how they plan their program, okay? Sebab daripada sekolah, literally from middle school form 1 lah kat sini, middle school sampai high school diorang 2 years over there, diorang plan elok-elok. Sebab daripada plan ni akan generate your allocation dekat sekolah. Dekat plan ni lah paperwork yang pengetua nak tengok di kalangan cikgu-cikgu PJ, di kalangan coach, okay? Diorang perlukan something concrete that they can refer with. Kalau kita bercakap, okay, aku nak buat ni, I want to do this, saya nak buat ni, literally it's like talking, sorry my words, it's like talking shit, like we are discussing something politics dekat kedai kopi lah. Jadi in sports, why is it called sports science? Because there's an underlying reason science dalam sukan, okay? Sebelum kita buat something, we need to know badan kita ada limitation, kita ada a lot of factors. And if you are like asking me what is performance, optimal performance, the analogy that I can give normally, saya cakap dekat kelas saya, talk saya pun, is like playing a jigsaw puzzle. Nak dapatkan optimal performance, you need to plan and then literally like combining install all this jigsaw puzzle to get a lot of, to produce an optimal performance. This is like this. Performance dalam rugby ni dia ada biomekanik. Okay, ni faktor-faktor yang penting yang menjurus kepada optimal performance. Dia ada biomechanics, dia ada nutrition, dia ada SNC, dia ada psychology, dia ada game analysis, dia ada a lot of components that contribute to an optimal performance. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. One thing missing, you will like literally you won't get an optimal performance. Okay, so bila kita nak ada optimal performance, we need a plan, a grandeur plan. We need something like a blueprint. Your hard work, plan first, then we execute the plan. Sebab based on my experience being a former athlete tu, saya training yang betul-betul structured masa dekat sekolah. Zaman Cikgu Bishukri Magrok, Cikgu Chot dekat Sedah, Cikgu Coco, Rostam Effendi Sinja, yang diorang ada proper plan, okay? Bila nak pick, bila nak rest, bila apa nak buat hari ni. Sebelum turun padang, players dah tahu apa yang kita nak buat. Okay, sebelum turun padang, players dah tahu macam mana nak calculate heart rate. All this thing literally dekat sekolah patutnya kita dah expose benda ni. Macam mana nak calculate, what is the covenant formula, what is estimated maximum heart rate. So from there, your training is going to be like very structured, very comprehensive, very scientifically based. Jangan sampai dekat dah main negeri dekat MSSM, baru nak, at least kat MSSM ataupun under 19, baru nak, macam mana nak kira covenant formula? Macam mana nak kira what is 220 minus H? So, dekat sekolah, cikgu, coaches dah boleh expose all this kind of information sebab budak-budak ni adults dah. Okay? Teenage, despite age, tapi diorang boleh absorb all this kind of knowledge. Very simple knowledge. So, I would like to proceed to my slide. So, recent issues in badminton, okay? Before I proceed with this video, literally it's like this. my friend, one of my friend, Nur Hashimi, boss dekat OCM, dia tanya dekat saya sebelum ni, apa nak categorizekan kategori A, B, C dekat untuk sukan SEA Games. Saya kasih professional advice, saya cakap kau tak boleh nak buat kategori A, B, C berdasarkan pada previous performance because currently we are COVID-19. Okay, silap-silap yang champion, world champion, second world champion, runner up ke apa world champion akan kalah. So this is what the issues that literally happen dekat badminton. Okay, despite we are talking about rugby right now, but then this is how periodization plan plays around. And this periodization bukan saya dapat, I did a bit of homework grassroots. Diorang ingat periodization ni dekat national team saja. It should be from down, from grassroots, daripada sekolah, okay? Sekolah rendah ke sekolah menengah. Saya rasa sekolah rendah main rugby rimau semua tu sekarang. Sekolah rendah dah ada periodization ni. Sebab one day you become state coach. One day cikgu-cikgu sekolah ni will become national coach. And you need to, for your information, a lot of all these successful manager, they are teachers. Okay? Mourinho teachers. Okay? Diorang ni semua cikgu yang satu masa diorang jadi a good coach, a good manager. And because their background from education. Tapi diorang dah buat benda-benda ni, structured training semua daripada grassroots. So, just to bear in mind, one day you become like Cikgu Raja, perhaps. Okay? You will become a national coach, you become club coach. Bila dah sampai club coach, kita punya quite competitive. Tak tahu nak periodization plan is a bit hustle for you guys one day. So, I would like to play a very short video before I proceed to the gist of this PowerPoint. Alright. Just a short video. Sorry, the internet is a bit slow over here.
Walters only played 2 World Tour matches since his comeback, and he has looked good in them actually, getting better and better. Well, that's gone.
All right,
Despite looking elegant and poised in defence.
guys, do you see that video just now?
Was the Malaysian there?
All right. Okay. Okay, first kali saya nak soalan, interaction. So, do you follow literally closely Momota sebelum ni? Y'all pernah tengok Momota main badminton? All these tournaments, World Series ke apa?
Benar.
Dia rota dulu, lama dah.
Okay. Literally dia kalah dekat All England, okay? And I hopefully Momota can picking masa Olympic lah. Dia probably did that kind of periodization yang dia that apply from Japanese punya planner. Tapi kalau tengok kepada interview Momota baru ni, kita boleh tengok.
Samba, is it okay? Still blank
Ha?
kat sini. Kat sini
Apa?
blank.
Blank.
Screen tak ada apa-apa.
Tak ada.
これで全選手の派遣が取りやめに。
Ke dia lambat sikit
Because video punya
Ya, aku tuan video aku sebab takut dia punya tak apa. Okay, literally sebab nanti dekat dapat slide nanti kan. So dekat situ ada link Mamota.
Nanti everybody akan dapat slide dan boleh tengok dekat situ lah dia punya video clip tu.
Okay. Alright. So back to my PowerPoint, okay. So literally saya nak cerita sikit pasal Mamota punya interview. Dia cakap dia kena COVID-19. Lepas tu it affected on his performance, dia punya confidence, dia punya physical fitness sebab COVID-19, okay. Implication. So literally lepas tu baru first tournament dia baru start. Mungkin dekat Japan dia dah ada main sparring semua. Tapi bila tournament dekat All England dia kalah quarter final. I believe quarter final dengan Li Zijia. Okay. So bila kita tak proper plan, okay, this is like proper plan. Literally I know Momota wants to win this All England sebab sebelum tahun ni dia kalah dengan Esselson. So it affects a lot of dia punya training preparation towards Olympic. So without a structured plan, without macam bila nak picking, bila kita nak tahu why is it important in rugby. So ini typical case yang saya boleh kasih why is it predisposition is important, okay, for your team, for your athlete. Literally this is a classic example. And then benda yang saya cakap kat kawan saya Nur Hashimi, tak boleh nak buat kategori terus sebab silap-silap mungkin out of nothing Kabadi boleh menang gold medal walaupun saya tahu dia sport kategori sebab dia orang tak boleh buat benda tu sebab all this planning will mess out, akan rosak sebab COVID. Okay, so that's why we need a proper plan walaupun daripada segi sekecil-kecil mungkin. Benda masalah dekat culture kita, okay, yang saya perasan, we always talk but then without a proper paper. Okay, on paper we don't have evidence. Okay, kita bercakap, lepas tu kita buat. Apa yang terkandung dalam otak kita terus kita terjemahkan. But then the way world work, literally we need a proper plan. Kenapa orang putih dekat ISN hiring all these orang putih? Sebab they have a super paperwork. Kita have an idea but then we don't put it on paper. Okay, so that's one of the. So saya balik dan saya cuba untuk menolong macam mana nak buat paper, a proper plan supaya your administrator, your boss, your immediate superior has a confidence that this is a proper plan, this is your plan that will succeed. Okay. So what is predisposition? Literally predisposition is a variation of training whereby we are manipulating everything, intensity, volume of training into a structured training plan, and it has several cycles. Okay, and this kind of predisposition literally kita nak performance kita literally progressively improve without plateauing. Okay, kenapa plateauing? Saya rasa ramai yang pernah rasa benda ni, especially at the end of our competitive as player. Kita punya performance plateau at one time, tengah peak pun, waktu age tu patutnya peak tapi kita plateau setakat at that we reach at that certain performance. And predisposition also ensures that what we plan for that day or for that week is literally constantly change. Sebabnya saya boleh ceritakan daripada pengalaman saya, tiap-tiap hari benda kita, bahasa kasarnya kita kasih benda yang sama kepada players. Last kali player injured, overtraining. Last kali budak-budak muda baru umur 16 dah kena ACL. Budak-budak muda dah kena MCL. All these major injury, shoulder dislocated. So that's why a proper plan before they reach their peak, we have to do it. So basic periodization, we have 3, okay, categories: what macro cycle, mesocycle, and microcycle. And management of this overload, kejap lagi saya akan terangkan apa overload. And recovery, it will ensure our players, our athletes to adapt and to reach their peaking at specific performance or expectation, perhaps. So in training, the goal is to achieve peak performance. But then the problem is how. And there are certain variables, okay, literally that we play around. Being a coach, being a trainer, being a teacher, kita boleh main all this intensity, okay, variables, volume, intensity, frequency, recovery. And then another part of what we call as a facade or components from the athlete, speed, strength, all these effect from our training variables. And periodization in layman term, okay, bahasa mudahnya, is a long-term planning tool. That's all. Okay, it's a long-term training tool. You can like memorize all this systematic blah 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 shit, but then it's literally long-term planning tool. So before we touch base on what is periodization, we need to know what is the principles of training. Okay, based on science. And periodization is a combination of arts and science before you can have a periodization. Principles of training, literally the first, there are 6 major, some says 4, some says 8, okay. The first one is progressive overload. Second one, individuality. Third one, specificity. Fourth one, reversibility. Fifth one, variance. And sixth one, periodization. And the first principles of training, literally a progressive overload, whereby we as a coach, kita as coach, we as a trainer, kita as a trainer dekat sekolah ataupun cikgu dekat sekolah, we train them progressively overloading day by day, week by week, month by month. Okay, so hopefully from this kind of training, I mean, we progressively overload it, it will increase. Okay, from session 1 to session 2 till up session 6, by daily basis, by weekly. Specificity, all training need to be specified based on the sport demand. Kalau rugby, kita tahu kita perlukan strength, kita perlukan power, kita perlukan speed, kita perlukan a bit of endurance to lasting the game demand. So our training literally kita kena rancang based mimicking kepada movement of that kind of sport. So this is the principle of training and it applies to all sport literally. Okay, reversibility literally is like detraining effect. Kalau kita tak train, perhaps like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time, literally all the positive effect will decrease or will lost at one time. Okay, because you need to know there's a term of detraining, reversibility, and what we call it tapering. I will touch base what is tapering later on in my next 15 slides perhaps, because last 2 weeks Coach Nick, Coach Fifi, they put on the term like what is tapering, how to achieve a peaking. So today's presentation, I will touch base what is tapering, how to peaking. Okay, variance. This is literally for those who had an experience with Thomas Ikama. You know what's the expectation every day, running. And for us, rugby players, especially for those we are training those new generation, we need Veritas. Okay, Very is our training session drills. Make it fun. Make it the players enjoy, not something that they feel like a punishment. So that kind of training we need to create. Prioritization, as I said, is how we plan, how we put it on paper, and then put it when it's like you are training a team. You put it on paper, give to your players. At least they know what is the expectation. So this is principle of training. Specificity of adaptation. Literally, badan kita, our body, we need to cater the neuromuscular adaptation, metabolic, is literally system energy. I don't want to go put all these pure science terms, okay? Cardiorespiratory, everything, adaptation. Sebab mechanism ni is good for you to know, okay? If you are from pure science background, biology, chemistry, or perhaps in sports science, or I believe a lot of this those coaches, they have level 1 MSN, okay? But then for you as a coach, as instructor, a good thing that you need to put a bit effort, you need to understand the science behind our human body, behind our athlete, behind our players. So periodization cycles, we have 3 types of cycles, okay? Basic, this is basic. The macro cycles, literally perhaps in 4 years, 5 years, this is the big grandeur plan, okay? The big plan. Mesocycle, it will last probably like weeks and months, okay? In one mesocycle, perhaps you have 4 months, okay? Perhaps you have 6 weeks. So it depends on your training. And microcycles is a day by day basis. Whether you want to plan it weeks, 1 week. So my style, I will cater the micro first. We can have all this grandeur plan, big plan, what we are projecting, one thing. Okay, kita nak champion MSSM ke, we want to become a champion Piala Agong ke apa. Tapi the first thing first, we need to solidify our micro plan, okay? How do we measure intensity? Bukannya tiap-tiap hari kita balon, tiap-tiap hari students, kita punya players, kita punya athlete. So I don't want to go all this too detailed, but then look at this graph. Okay, badan manusia, human body literally adapt whatever you put in the body. For an analogy, what we put in the body, when we put a lot of food, then we become obese. That's how our body adapt. Okay. For an athlete, apa yang kita kasih ke athlete, dia akan absorb, dia akan develop. Tapi at one point, what point, literally this athlete will have their optimal performance. That's the big why and how, the big question mark for a coach, an instructor, literally to measure, to cater, and to design. So this is basically how the body react, okay? You have a suboptimal performance, and then literally you will fatigue, and then with a proper recovery plan, it will increase. What we want, literally a new threshold, okay? And it hopes 1 day, 1 week, day by day, week by weeks, months to months, yearly, it will improve in a long period. So training effects, immediate training effects, literally after training, after we had training session petang, pagi, itu training effect, immediate training effect. What is immediate training effect? Literally, it's going to be penat. Delayed training effect, positive training effect. After recovery, literally pernah tak? Kita baru angkat 10 kilo kalau resistance training. Lepas tu kita rest hari, esok ni kita rasa kuat. That's what we call as neuromuscular adaptation, okay? Kita rasa macam kita rasa kuat dah, but then that's what the simplest example that I can give to you, what we call as a adaptation effect, kesan daripada training tu. Cumulative training effects, literally a good recovery, a good playing around with all these training variables, then we will get cumulative training effect. Whether there are two types, whether it's a negative or positive training effect. Negative, that's where overtraining, burnout will occur. Positive, whereby an improvement, peaking will occur. So super composition, I don't want to go for all this shit, gas theory. Okay, literally how the body adapt, and I would like to go for this slide. Okay, so if you playing around a good training stimulus, okay, a typical training will result at this level. However, when you put a lot of stress, kita balun, ayat kasarnya kita balun atlet kita, it will lead to overtraining or exhaustion. Okay, but then what we want is an optimal new level of performance, whereby we play around with all these kind of training variable, volume, training, intensity, frequency, all these kind of variables that we have to cater and plan. Then, therefore, we will get all this kind of result. Same goes to here. Volume is equivalent amount of work. Intensity, degree of demand. Okay. Satu benda yang saya mungkin bukan mungkin, saya observe a few things masa kita punya training. We don't know how to measure our intensity. We measure our intensity literally from bila kita tanya, penat tak? Kalau players, student, obviously, oh penat cikgu, penat coach. Okay, dapat player macam saya yang suka kencing training dulu, padahal masa tu saya tahu saya tak guna lagi 50% what I have. Okay, so the lacking of this thing, how to measure heart rate, intensity kita, apa yang kita put on that day, will result a disaster one day. So as a coach, as an educator, as instructor, you need to know how to measure intensity. Okay, and this kalau pergi ke state, even at school level, they know, and even the players know how to measure that intensity. Okay, this I will give an explanation during the Q&A. So literally body stimulus, fatigue, immediate effect, kita akan letih. Okay, bila kita rest, literally kita akan naik. Kita akan ada compensation, what we call a positive effect. What we want one day and what we plan, we need to have a peaking. Okay, when we have to peaking, that's the big question. If we don't taper, this is what happened. Involution, what we call as a detraining effect. Because periodization literally is a tool, and when you are experienced, you are playing around with all these variables, awak semua, I mean, my teammates, y'all will understand. It's a trial and error. But then, doesn't mean an error will result a failure. Okay? From experience, you will know when and how. But then, there's a rule of thumb when you want play like trial and error in periodization. So, kita dulu pernah rasa dulu, okay, buat lebih, ingat bagus, rupanya termuntah, rupanya kita dah overtraining, kita demam. That's a symptom of overtraining literally. Okay, muntah at the end of the period, bukan sebab tak fit, tapi at the end of dekat-dekat dengan tournament, tiba-tiba we pass out, macam tak boleh, kaki cramp, a lot of symptom of overtraining. Kita boleh demam. Demam is typical of overtraining effect. And for us, we need to cater down what we put in our training. Okay, what kind of intensity, what kind of volume, what kind of type of activity that the coach, the instructor will put in their training program. So this is still guess. Phases of super composition ni selalunya saya akan mengajar in details for my master's class and PhD class. But then literally in super composition we have 4 phase. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4. Okay, And the benefits of supercomposition literally to manage stress and cope with training intensities. Coaches create structured program, avoid your critical levels of fatigue and overtraining. And the main point, we try to juggle balance between physiological and psychological techniques. Why is this important? Literally, kita as a coach, we try to cater on the fitness, all this kind of components, okay? Fitness related everything. Dia punya fitness level, dia punya endurance, dia punya strength, all these thing. However, ada satu komponen yang perlu kita cater juga on psychological part, okay? On the psychological part, kalau kita dapat cater betul-betul based on your preparation plan, the picking won't happen. So, as I said just now, hang on. There are 3 levels of preparation plan. One is macro, one is mesocycle, and one is microcycle. Okay. So, the big stuff, perhaps in 4 years, I believe all those Sucom 98 players, all the legends, I respect them. They were my coach. They went through literally like 4 years preparation plan during that time. That's why I believe, and my opinion, 98 training program, Jaya 98 is the best team. Okay, based on proper preparation plan for 4 years. And then the second level is mesocycle. We perhaps have 3 to 4 mesocycles, 6 perhaps in a year. And then microcycles day by day, week by week, whereby the small thing. So what is microcycle? The big grandeur plan, okay? Approximately you can do it in 1 year. Selalunya sekolah mungkin nak program 1 year, or perhaps in 4 years time you want this batch, okay? For one, perhaps to become a national champion, you might want to have 1 year and then you have 4 years training program, perhaps 5 years. And then the first thing for you guys to do a proper plan, you need to have your tentative, you need to have your calendar, yearly calendar, before you can plan any tournament that you want to be picked, any tournament that your team will be picked, okay? And then set your priority. Sebenarnya kita bila ada kalender banyak tournament, kita kena prioritize mana tournament yang literally kita nak pick, mana tournament yang kita betul-betul targeted. Selalunya bila kita cakap targeted, itulah pick kita, okay? So setahun mungkin kita nak 2 kali pick targeted tournament. Dalam setahun mungkin kita nak 3 kali. Okay, it's a bit impossible, but then if feasible to have 3 picks, 2 picks perhaps. Okay, 2 picks is the most important thing. Tapi kita kena prioritisekan tournament mana. Bukannya tiap-tiap minggu kita masuk tournament, kita kena jadi champion. That's the thing that we need to convince our immediate superior, our administrator. This tournament we don't target. This tournament is our prioritize. Next 2 months perhaps that's our targeted tournament. Sebab kalau kita tak buat macam tu, players pergi ins and outs, weekly by weekly basis, monthly basis. At the end of like 1 cycle, macro cycle, play injured. Okay, so the first thing you need to have when you plan to pick what is the tentative tournament that you plan to put in. Okay, and then from there you need to calculate, okay, determine how long it takes for you to have one preparation from one calendar, one tournament to another tournament. From there we can create a macro cycle. This is a typical, okay, GPP for those coaches in advance, GPP, SPP. Dekat sekolah kita boleh buat benda ni semuanya. Sebabnya walaupun dekat sekolah kita ada dalam 2 jam, kalau asrama penuh saya rasa 2 jam cukup training. Tapi kalau yang sekolah sukan, diorang ada pagi dan petang punya training, we can do this GPP, okay, general preparation phase, whereby we try to improve basically ni short, okay, general fitness level, okay, SPP literally sport specific kepada rugby, apa yang boleh kita targeted, kita punya skills, kita punya short burst, all this is specific training. Pre-comp and then competition phase. This is how we do a year training program. Mesocycle, in a year, we might want to put it literally in 4 months. I mean, it's like in a month, you have 3 weeks of training, hard training, and then 1 week, what we call as regeneration phase or transition. So this is, and in any cycle, you need to have a transition. Okay, in this workshop, I cannot cover the whole thing in details, but then literally, example is like this. Okay, we have 4 weeks in a month. Okay, this is what we call model 4-1 macrocycle. Okay, kita start just now. You still remember progressive overload? Start slow, perhaps in 55%. Naik. Okay, 4 of training cycles. Peak over here, the highest intensity, and then 1 resting, or perhaps this is transition, perhaps this is regenerative cycle, and then perhaps you want to use 3-1 microcycle plan, 3 weeks of, this is weeks kalau nak buat months pun boleh. This is 3 weeks of high intense training, gradually increase, and then 1 week of regeneration cycle, or perhaps unloading it. So this is model of macrocycle, and 4-1, 3-1, 2-1, 2-2, a lot of model that you can use. Microcycle, this is the most important thing. You need to have, I mean, what I suggest, not need, literally what I suggest, you need to have a proper paperwork. Okay, Monday, what do you plan to do? Okay, based on a week cycle, literally Monday to Friday per se, your training, perhaps during Wednesday and Thursday is the highest intensity that you will put or you will prescribe for your players. Okay, and then on Friday, perhaps you need to get tapering down a bit, whereby I will touch base what is tapering, what is peaking in my next slide. Unloading it, and then perhaps during weekend, you have a tournament. That's how you unloading it. Jangan literally it's like on Friday you push hard, you put high intensity, the players will definitely going downward spiral masa tournament. And during this period, literally we manage the intensity. So does it work, your plan? Do you need a periodization, or you need non-periodization planning? Based on research, numerous research, okay, numerous studies shows that a positive effect yang positif literally kepada athlete, kepada team sport, okay, when you periodize it, when you try to cater the intensity, your plan, proper plan to get an optimal performance. Okay, limitation decision based on assumption, we cannot, this is what our weakness, we just talk shit, okay, talking, but then you don't put it on the paper, and then no one size fits all, literally. Okay, every team, every athlete has their own periodization plan. Okay, every student, every players, they need to be catered as individually. Okay, you might have, for example, I can give like, okay, Mike Hughes in football, okay, in soccer, he literally can predict when is it this player, when to use this player in upcoming like 2 or 3 months. This is like the big clubs, okay, but then you can use this at school level. No harm to try it at school level, because as I said, one day you become an educator, perhaps IRB educator. One day you will coach, national coach, you will coach state coach. But then if you don't apply this kind of system, You will hustle, you will get mess one day when you are a national coach, perhaps head coach for the state. You don't know how to plan for your team. So that's the thing that I believe the main concern back in Malaysia, okay? And then this program need to be adaptable. It can be like modified throughout one mesocycle. Evaluate it. So how can we achieve a picking point? I think Linda, is Roslinda Samsu here? Linda? Linda?
Rasa tak ada bang.
Okay. Zuhairi?
Yes, Doctor.
Alright. Okay. You still remember the picking point and the tapering point?
Yes, Doctor. I still remember.
Okay. Is tapering and picking should be done concurrently? Adakah picking and tapering ni berlaku, kita boleh buat at the same time?
No, Doctor.
Why no?
I think maybe because we need to done for the tapering first.
Okay.
After that, we can achieve the picking.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Zuhairi.
Okay, welcome, Doctor.
Mari kita berborak dengan Potong. Syarizal. Okay, let me share to you guys. Alright, so how can we achieve a picking point? Okay, so this is a big question in sport, literally. Since Coach Fifi, Coach Nick have mentioned this concept. Okay, based on empirical data, scientific, all these things shit, okay, it's a complex process, but then literally it happens concurrently, okay. When you taper, then start from there. Literally apa yang akan berlaku ialah bila kita taper ni literally macam ni, kita deloading, kita kurangkan intensity training, and at the same time masa tu kita dah boleh cater what's going on untuk picking tournament. Alright, so when you are like literally reducing volume, intensity, that's where literally the readiness of an athlete, whereby we are catering physiological, psychological of an athlete during that time. Okay, so this is basic based on physiological manusia, physiology manusia, psychological manusia. When you are decreasing the intensity, that's where the performance will increase. And based on science, juga this is where we are tapering. Okay, this is where we try to achieve the picking point, but then cautiously, berhati-hati. Kalau kita tak taper betul-betul, that's where in evolution what we call as a negative effect of performance. Okay, this is picking point. Lagi satu contoh, bila main competition, this is like we try to pick on during this period of time, but then if we are not tapering it down properly, it will decrease and the performance will decrease. The basic things like this, okay? When you decreasing the intensity, literally the readiness will increase. Okay, if the training load increase, the readiness literally is like at 1 point, loading microcycle, it will decrease. Tapering, one of the non-linear reduction, whereby we try to taper, we try to decrease the amount of intensity literally untuk kita dapatkan positive effect on physiological adaptation and psychological adaptation. This is the reason we taper our intensity. So purpose of tapering literally to deload, decrease the amount of our volume of training, intensity, untuk dissipate, okay, untuk prevent, untuk cegah keletihan melampau, overtraining perhaps, and burnout eventually. And then it will literally to bahasa mudahnya untuk kita kasih resting period, rehat yang cukup kepada player supaya dia orang recover and then give a go literally in the next tournament, perhaps in the next cycle. So this is the way why we need to, the purpose, why, the intention why we need to have a tapering method. So suggestion on tapering strategies, literally we can like go massage, okay? Because why recommended tapering? It will evaluate readiness and improve performance. For a program, literally what I suggest, you might want to taper your deload, decrease your intensity between 8 to 14 days before you want to get an optimal or peaking at one point, peaking in performance. So decrease in training about 41 to 60% pre-taper volumes, and then still proceed the taper. Okay, literally kalau microcycle kita, mesocycle kita panjang, intensity tinggi, lama, you might want to like taper 2 weeks, 10 days perhaps. Decreasekan intensity tu sebelum your athletes, your team can reach at one point as a peaking point. And then use progressive linear taper model, which I don't want to explain it over here because it takes the whole 3 hours because lots of models to tapering. And then what's the most important thing when you are tapering, when bahasa mudahnya bila kita deload, kita kurangkan intensity of training dekat-dekat dengan tournament, it will increase approximately 3% in response. This is based on sport, okay? Ada olahraga, ada rugby, kalau team sport it might be like 5 to 15%. Kalau individual mungkin tengok juga atletik mungkin 3% perhaps. So tapering is one of the major thing perhaps when you construct a periodization plan. And last but not least, thank you. Okay, so how to create a personalized periodization plan way forward. Okay, this workshop literally a very snapshot, a very brief explanation what is periodization. Okay, the grand idea, main idea kenapa kena ada periodization. Sebab you could have a good periodization tapi kita tak tahu macam mana measure intensity. Saya mungkin kasih random question. Sony, sahabat saya, Mr. Sony, Dr. Sony.
Ya, Cik Sama. Doktor Sama.
Sebab Dr. Sony dah pergi banyak workshop and then training. How do we measure intensity, Dr. Sony?
Weh, hantarnya aku ke sport science weh.
Okay, tak ada. Sebab mungkin apa yang Han dapat dekat masa workshop sebelum ni. Workshop dekat MSN.
Mana dia buat. Tapi hantarnya apa tadi intensity?
Intensity. How to measure?
Bukan loading sama, bukan
Loading ya. Boleh.
Dengan repetition Dengan repetition.
Okay. That kind of what we call as a intensity. Okay. Dia macam ni. Kalau strength training, we might use all this kind of concept, repetition, all these sets, recovery period. Tapi kalau team sport dalam training, practical way, kalau professional team perhaps they use heart rate monitor. Tapi kalau tak ada heart rate monitor, apa yang kita boleh buat?
Kena nadi.
Yeah, thank you Dr. Sani.
Betul ke salah?
Betul. So nak kira nadi macam mana?
Ambil dalam kiraan 10 je, lepas tu kali 6 lah.
Okay. Tapi kalau intensity?
Tak sure.
Okay. So kalau kita nak measure intensity, literally we already set, okay. Training hari tu konon, okay, misalan first day, mungkin kita nak start dengan 60% of intensity. What it means, intensity is literally 60% of your targeted training heart rate. Ini mungkin next workshop saya akan ajar satu-satu macam mana nak measure intensity. You can have like 60%, 85% of intensity, tapi nak measure intensity tu untuk rugby, it might be literally, you don't know or you might know from your previous experience, tapi heart rate tu sebenarnya dia ada cara kiraannya. Tapi untuk lagi bagus kalau players tahu kau boleh calculate heart rate tu. Okay, we have covenant, we have heart rate monitor, all these things. Tapi kalau dekat sekolah macam mana? Paling mudah kita kira heart rate. So itu adalah salah satu cara untuk kita measure heart rate. Kalau advance tu mungkin kita boleh ambil blood lactate, everything. Tapi paling mudah heart rate untuk cikgu-cikgu dekat school, dekat state, everything.
Doktor
That's
tambah.
how we measure intensity. Yes, Dr. Sani.
Maksudnya bukan intensity ni selalu kita link dengan RPE ya?
Okay, good question, Sony. Being from exercise physiology background, okay. RPE, rating perceived sensation, this is a very good, excellent question. RPE ni, rating perceived sensation. Siapa pernah, obviously semua orang pernah jawab survey, kaji selidik, okay. RPE literally is just like a Likert scale, macam mana survey, okay. Kita jawab soal selidik. Sebabnya, for you guys to work in sport, we need to have a very objectivity and solid evidence. Sebab kalau dapat player macam saya yang suka kencing training, kasih RPE 1 sampai 10, obviously satu sekali berlari saya akan cakap, oh 9 dah coach. So there's no reliability dalam tu kalau nak kira intensity guna RPE. On my paradigm, I will approach on measuring heart rate. It's more objective, it's more science-based, and it's more solid. Am I answering your question, Dr. Sony?
Ya, cuma maksudnya sekarang ni kita tahu dengan tempoh dia dah training dan sebagainya, sepatutnya dia punya RPE itu tak ada dah teruk kalau kita dah bagi intensity tinggi macam tu lah. Overtime, bukannya sekali buat macam tu lah maksudnya.
Overtime, yeah, we might want to use, but then still RPE in my view is still just a subjectivity evaluation. Very subjective. Sebab kadang-kadang tak ada mood pun kita boleh rate tu RPE to 7. There's an argument, debatable, but then for me, for you guys to have a solid measure on your intensity of training, you need to measure heart rate. At least it's very objectivity and science-based.
Alright. Thank you, Dr. Samba.
Thank you, Dr. Sony.
Ya, Assalamualaikum, Dr. Rostam here.
Thank you. Ya, cikgu.
Okay, Doctor.
My coach.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
Okay, this is regarding periodization. Okay, in our periodization, so the coaching program would be consist of physical, tactical, technical, and also mental. Okay, what I see here is that we focus on the three, the physical, the tactical, and the technical. But somehow, rather on the mental strength, we always forget because we already exercise during the what do you call that, the camp pusat only there. The mental coach will be there to give you, to say mantra words to you, but you do not impute that training as early as your periodization. So, in your opinion, when is the best way to start off with our mental training among students, especially we are coaching, say like MSSM team, we have 1 year macro cycle. or even Sukma, you have 2 years microcycle. So do we prolong the mental training or not? Because through your talk here, we focus more on the physical side. Somehow or other, when we go there, you train very good, but somehow you choke because why we don't put we don't the mental strength among the athletes. Okay, what say you, Coach? Doctor, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rostam. It's excellent question. Okay, on a psychological part, okay, literally, on my view, psychological part, you need to cater from start. Okay, from start of the training program, you need to cater it. From the start, during the JPP, General Preparatory Preparation phase, you need to start it from the start of the day one of your training program. That's my simple answer, Mr. Rostam, Cikgu.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Start from day one.
So day one terus start dengan apa goal setting terus lah.
Start dengan goal setting, perhaps. I mean, that's more on a psychological training. But then day one kita dah start mental training, mental strength training, perhaps psychological activities, everything. Okay, perhaps team building, everything. So day one started from your program. You don't want to gather, regroup all the team just for the sake to do mental training, or perhaps psychological to train your psychological factors. Sebab bila main, kita memang a team, rugby is like a team, but then we can start it by individually all this kind of training. Ask them to set their goal setting, ask them perhaps after training, let them to have imagery. So start from day one.
Doktor.
Yes.
Yang intensity training ni setiap kali lepas habis satu-satu drill ke satu-satu program kita terus tanya atlet berapa intensity diorang. Let's say we are doing, kita nak tengok 60%. Time tu kita terus tanya atlet berapa heart rate dia kita kira terus ke macam mana?
Okay, good question, Mr. Shah Rizanil, Mr. Watong. Okay, literally. Okay, tak adalah tiap kali every drill kita tanya heart rate. Okay, mungkin before start the training we measure the heart rate. Okay, lepas tu habis warm up, lepas habis warm up kita measure the heart rate. During in between drills, mungkin dalam sejam setengah training tu we have like 4 drills. Mungkin the second type of drills tu kita dah measure heart rate tu. Lepas tu at the end of perhaps the 4th drill kita measure lagi. So after that kita average kan lah, Mr. Watong. Am I answering your question, Mr. Watong?
Menjawab soalan.
So kita ambil average. Okay, mungkin kita measure 3 times throughout the training. Mungkin kita measure 4 times throughout the training. That's how we measure intensity. Gila. Boleh ambil?
Okay. So ada okay, pada yang hadir pada hari ini, so masih boleh terus bertanya kepada Dr. Sambar. Okay, boleh terus bertanya kepada Dr. Sambar.
Assalamualaikum. Saya nak tanya boleh?
Boleh. Sila.
Okay, doktor, saya nak tanya. Tadi doktor ada mention pasal picking. Saya pun pernah masuk kelas pasal periodization ni lah. Saya difahamkan picking ni at most kita akan ada 2 dalam satu microcycle. So boleh tak kita ada lebih daripada satu picking, dan apa dia punya negative effect daripada keseluruhan kita punya periodization lah. Itu soalan yang pertama. Soalan yang kedua, contoh kita bawa tim college ataupun tim universiti ataupun tim sekolah sekalipun. Katalah tim universiti kita ada certain player yang main dengan team state ataupun national team. Okay. team state lah senang cakap. Katalah kita ada susun satu periodization program dengan player university atau player college tu. And then bila dia pergi kepada training dengan state punya training program, sebab state punya training program dia akan ada satu centralized training yang seminggu, 2 minggu. So mungkin dia punya periodization program tu tak sama dengan kita punya periodization program. So apa cara untuk kita synchronise-kan daripada satu periodization program yang kita buat di peringkat college atau university tu kepada state level. Okay, tu. Terima kasih Dr.
Excellent question, Mr. Safwan. Okay, the first question is it feasible? Let me reiterate it. The first question was related if it's double picking. Am I right?
Betul dah.
Okay. The second one is how is it we try to coordinate, your own periodization with perhaps the state level periodization. Am I right?
Ya, betul dah.
Okay. So untuk jawab the first question, double picking is feasible. Despite is difficult, but then is feasible. Okay. Picking ni sebenarnya panjang, tajuk dia sangat detail. Tapi untuk jawab soalan tu, double picking is feasible. Okay. But then the first thing we need to literally measure the intensity, cater the intensity carefully, plan the training carefully untuk dapatkan double picking. And one of the factor that determine double picking is what is the gap between one tournament and to another tournament. If it's like, perhaps in February, this July, and then you want to pick in August, and then you want to pick another pick in September is very difficult, and it's impossible to get, like, in short period of time you want to have another picking. Give it time like 3 months, okay, perhaps, okay, for you guys to get a double picking. But then in athletic it's normal to have a double picking. That's to answer the first question. The second question, that's where for me the big word, coordinating, collaborate together with state level. Okay, if you have your own periodization, and then you need to know when is it the state level estimate their picking. Okay, per se university ada picking dia bila, and then ask the coach at the state level when is it your picking. So at least you can put, okay, this is parity for state level and this is parity for your university level. So put consideration their picking and your picking in your program. Is it answered my question?
Okay, Doktor. Terima kasih banyak, Doktor.
Sama.
Okay. So ada soalan lain? Ada soalan-soalan lagi?
Okay. Ada.
Baik. Teruskan tuan. Teruskan.
Dr. Samba.
Yeah.
I have a question. When you talk about this picking, basically these all are qualitative, right? And then you cannot quantify it, and most of the players, they can pick in a different way.
Yeah, indeed.
Some could pick earlier, some could pick later on. So, and basically how you want to achieve all the player to be picked at the same time, and especially will provide a good result for the tournament.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nasta, for an excellent question. Okay, the first thing, periodization is like, arts in science, art in sports science is not qualitatively 100%. It's still a quantitative, whereby you need to measure the intensity by scientific base. Okay, measuring intensity in your microcycle is still a number. You need to have 60%, 70% of your intensity. That's microcycle. Okay, to answer the question, it's not purely qualitative. It's still a mixed method. Literally, the arts of science is like, how do you cater between your science background and qualitative background in planning a good periodization. That's the first answer. It's a mixed method, Mr. Nasser. It's not purely qualitative, okay? And it's not a purely quantitative, and it's not a purely quantitative, okay? And then the second question, how to, like, you know what, to cater 15, literally 15 players in a team to pick at the same time, because literally we know rugby is a sport game, okay? In the team, I believe all the coach agree with my opinion. In the team, we have our targeted, main core player, focal person, okay? This focal person, we need to cater it first, okay? As a team, we might have like 3 to 4 key players. Kalau main 7, mungkin kita ada 5 players at the same time. So, cater them first, okay? Because this is the big contribution to the team. And then the other is a supporting roles as a team, okay? Despite we are playing as a team, but then other than that, is a supporting role in the team. So, when the key players, we cater the key players, that's how we try to bring up, develop together all the players, okay? The supporting players too. So, that's how we try to cater the whole team in terms of picking, Mr. Nasser. Am I right? Am I answering your question, Nasser?
Okay lah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Dr. Samba, boleh tanya?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Doktor nak tanya, saya rasa majoriti masalah coaches dekat sekolah adalah cuti bulan 12.
Okay.
Sebab okay, kita katalah mesocycle kita ambil 6 bulan dan rugby ni biasanya tournament dia akan semester. So national level akan buat around May. Maknanya untuk district level atau state level akan as early as February or March. So kalau kita start meso kita, let's say 2021 ambil contoh lah, kalau tak ada COVID, kita start maybe dalam Oktober katakan, untuk 6 bulan complete mesocycle tu kita akan habis by January ataupun February lah. Okay. Tapi kita akan ada loss bulan 12 ni, di mana cuti sekolah. So players kadang-kadang tahulah dia punya komitmen. Kita sendiri pun bila cuti sekolah ada komitmen kan, kenduri apa semua. So might not be able to commit. So dia jadi off season dekat tengah-tengah tu, macam mana tu? So kita nak cater benda tu untuk mengelakkan loss. Takkan kita nak taper awal sangat kan?
Tak boleh taper awal sangat. Okay, a good
your opinion lah, advice.
Okay. My suggestion is like this, okay? Instead like, okay, kita start Fazli, Mr. Fazli, your tournament start in February. Is that what you mean?
Yes, February.
Okay, start. That means in season in February.
Yes.
Okay.
Tu kita punya targeted lah, macam you cakap.
Kita target February.
Yes, kita target
February.
Makna competition tu, tournament tu February.
Okay. My suggestion, okay. Sebab picking ni is a choice of kita. Selalunya February apa tournamentnya, Mr. Fazli?
Dia akan start dengan MSSD, mana daerah. Then not long after akan pergi ke state.
State level. Mungkin in March.
So boleh jadi
okay.
Dan kita, yelah, saya bercakap dalam konteks player sekolah je lah, sebab kita tak tahu players kita akan make it to state.
Faham. Okay.
Level kan. So kita nak fokus.
Masa off season tu bulan 12 tu is still considered off season, Mr. Fazli. So why not, okay, my suggestion during that time, go for, during this break, personalize their program, hantar paper program apa yang diorang kena buat tiap-tiap hari, okay, or perhaps if as long they are actively participate like playing other than rugby, perhaps soccer ke apa ke, during that time, it's not literally rest, it's active rest. So at least masa masuk January tu tak ada nak catch up terlampau banyak literally the gap. So during that break, send out your paper, send out your program, what do they need to do during that one 1 month period of rest, and ask them to do, because literally an athlete, they will obey, oh, we have a fitness test, so ask them to at higher and like following the program during the off season, because you mentioned on this date in January you will have fitness test. So by hook by crook during that off season, okay, budak-budak sekolah, so dia orang main, kalau budak-budak sekolah rendah ke budak sekolah menengah, so dia orang main apa saja, keep them active, not like literally rest, totally rest. Itulah saya punya suggestion, Mr. Fazli.
Alright bah, harap-harap players tak kuat kencing macam kau lah.
Okay, so ada sebarang soalan lain. Okay bah, mungkin ada satu perkara yang mungkin untuk kita programkan dalam satu pasukan okay, untuk jaga individual game, mungkin benda tu agak mudah. Okay, so since you ada experience jaga individual, since you ada experience jaga team, so bila kita tahu individual, kita tahu kita nak fokus kat seorang ni je, kita boleh letak dia nak picking bila. So for team, okay, for team untuk picking normally, okay, in the average berapa persen daripada team tu yang boleh achieve kita punya target of picking tu, boleh menjamin pasukan kita akan sampai ke tahap yang terbaik masuk kejohanan? 70%, 80%? Nah, kita takkan dapat 100% semua orang akan achieve, betul? So berapa persen punya determine yang boleh meletakkan tim tu dah berada pada keadaan yang ready untuk sampai pada hari kejohanan?
In sport 70 to 80 is good enough sebenarnya.
70 to 80.
70 to 80 is good enough, okay? Sebab itu yang saya cakap ke Nasa punya soalan tadi. In each tournament, okay, we need to have, like, not to cater the whole 15 players, perhaps in 15 side or like 7 side, the whole 7 players need to pick, okay? We have like 3 to 4 key players that need to pick during that time, because these key players will bring up all the supporting players in the team to have at least to achieve or to meet the picking point.
Okay. Same goes to individual game.
Yeah.
Sebab dalam ni hari ni bersama kita pun ada rasanya coach-coach yang sukan bukan daripada rugby saja. Mungkin ada sukan daripada bowling. So saya dah nampak tadi daripada bowling lah. So maksudnya adakah pendekatan dia masih pendekatan yang sama in the basic? Am I right?
Yep.
In the basic benda yang sama. Okay, so coach-coach dah hadirin peserta sekalian, ada yang nak bertanya lagi? Ada soalan-soalan?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Dr. Nasno. Yeah, hi.
No worries.
How long is once an athlete achieves his optimal performance, the peak, how long does it last?
How long it will dissipate from the picking? Do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a good question, Mr. Jude. Okay, literally.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay, no worries. Okay, go ahead. The first question, and then the second question.
Like for example, our national athletes, they have to participate in the Asian Rugby Championship, which lasts for 2 months, and they have to play like 6 test matches over the 2 months. How do you maintain that? Yeah.
How to maintain it, literally?
Yeah, even for like the 7 players, they have like like maybe 4 or 5 series over for the course of 6 months.
For the course of
6 months, yeah. So how do these athletes maintain? Because every series they have to perform, right?
Yeah.
To collect points to win the overall series. So how does a trainer plan to get this place tip top at during that course of that duration.
Okay. Excellent questions, Mr. Jude. Okay, I'm going to answer the first question. So literally after picking point, literally it takes. Do you mean it's like the loss of picking? Do you mean?
Yeah.
After
How long does
picking how long?
So tapering is about 8 to 14 days. Yeah. Before he achieves optimal. So once he achieves optimal, how long is there a rule of thumb that how long it lasts?
The last is like within that 3 to 4 weeks. That
3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, 3 to 4 weeks, 21 days before it's lost. Yeah.
Before it dips.
Yeah, it dips going down.
So my next question is, how does that team maintain its performance over the course of 6 months?
Okay.
Series after series.
Excellent question, Mr. Jude. Okay, if we give a classic example, okay, in this 7 series, the world standard like Australia, Fiji, and All Blacks, all these things. Not all the series Fiji won previously, am I right?
Yeah.
Then not all All Blacks won. All Black Sevens won all the series. So they will like pick at certain tournament, like qualifying Olympic during that time. And perhaps during that time they want to, because the thing when we play series, we are like collecting points in each series, and at the end the cumulative point we will get who's the winner of that 6 series perhaps. Okay, so if perhaps like 6 series, we might want to have like win at least 3 to 4 series for us to like at least to become a champion. Am I right? So perhaps okay, to maintain that, to maintain that is a good, excellent question, Mr. Jude. In my view, okay, based on science, literally, you cannot perform the whole picking at that six. Okay, so you might want targeted like 3. Okay, like perhaps 3 major tournaments based on the priority on your prioritization. Perhaps this tournament you give like out of 5 you give 4. Out of perhaps this tournament out of 5 3. So you might want to pick like double picking, or perhaps just one pick. Perhaps during that time World Cup 7, so perhaps Asia 7 series. Okay, so that's how that I can like give a suggestion to maintain it. It's not like maintain that we win that series. Literally, it's like if we can literally get the point top 3, as long we have a good point standing for the next series, it's still an optimal performance for your team.
Yeah. So basically, the coaching team has to have the management's agreement, that an agreed understanding that we will only perform on certain series.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you mentioned earlier, collaboration.
Yes.
With all the stakeholders. So my follow-up question is, what's your training protocols during that course of the training protocols in terms of intensity and deloading, progress overload, or what's the protocols like during the course?
Okay, the course of during that macro cycle, mesocycle, or during that micro
competition, that competition period, let's say 6
during
weeks.
During the in-season period, okay? Period. Okay. Literally during that time, during that competition period, we are like try to pick the performance during that competition period. So the training protocol during that time, you need taper. But then per se, you are meeting the team normal training cycle like 2 times in a day. Okay, twice in a day. So perhaps you might want to cut it down, instead of 2 sessions a day, cut into 1 session. But then increase the intensity. Okay, perhaps in a week you have like everyday training. Perhaps before the tournament you might want to cut it into 3 days training, but then increase the intensity. So that's the training protocol that you as a coach you need to like play around the variables.
Yep. And is there any particular how you say to gauge this?
To gauge
to measure.
To measure, literally, Mr. Joe, it's a very simple one. If for for national team, I hope they have a heart rate monitor. Okay, heart rate monitor at least for a national team standard. They need to have a heart rate monitor. If they don't have it, which I know when I observe at MSN, they don't have that kind of heart rate monitor. At least they know how to measure the heart rate. Okay, so from there you can measure the intensity. And if the advanced training, they may withdraw your blood lactate to measure the fatigue level, all this kind of a reading. So basic one is just to measure your heart rate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jude. Thank you, Senior.
Okay, Samba, nampak ada soalan daripada Encik Ahmad Fuad Roslan. So, Encik Ahmad Fuad Roslan, apa yang kekeliruan di mana daripada soalan Mr. Jude tadi? Encik Ahmad Fuad.
Mr. Jude's question, it was, I believe there were 3 questions. The first one, how long is it the peaking will dissipate from the performance, I believe. Yes. The second one, if you have like 6 circuits playing in a year, which one should you peaking, how to pick all these 6 circuits. And the third one was the training protocol for that during that during the competition time phase. Oh, the first 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes, yeah.
The question was about how long once the athlete peaking, how long it will like decreasing the performance, tapering down. It's like the effect of peaking will last. That was the question. Okay. Mr. Killer, you are like muting.
Okay. Ada sebarang soalan lain yang ingin ditanyakan kepada Dr. Nasno kita?
Dr. Samba. So tadi macam Jude yang soalan tu competition period kan. So 2 session a day jadi kan 1 session a day.
Yeah.
Tapi kita intensity tu kita increase lah.
Kita increase kan lah.
So waktu yang tak ada apa-apa ke macam player tu active rest ataupun doing the rehab or recovery.
Rehab, pergi cryotherapy ke, pergi massage ke.
Okay. Ada sebarang soalan-soalan lain yang mungkin daripada soalan itu boleh membantu mereka yang lain untuk dapat lebih jelas apa itu prioritization sebenarnya. Okay, Mr. Joe Bola, is there any question?
Yo, Mr. Kila.
You can ask to your brother directly.
Recovery, want to ask Dr. Narzu.
Yeah, Dr. Samba. You can ask directly to your brother.
During the training camp, Mr. Dr. Nasnor, during the training camp, so what is the best recovery for the players, the best recovery time for the players? Because what I did see here in Malaysia, the time of sleep during camp or during training, which is very important in your recovery or the prioritization in your plan.
Yep.
What I see, the time of sleep, time of tidur, the best time of recovery. I think most of them never like tell the players the best time to rest. Okay, like when we're training, I tell my manager, okay, at the clock should be the best time we collect the phone for the players to rest because we need a good rest for the recovery for our training session. So what is the best time, the best hour for the players to Tito for the next recovery session training? That's the question.
Excellent question, Mr. Joe. Coach Joe, okay. Wow. Okay. Sleeping time is like varies between within individual, okay. But then the best rest is literally sleeping, okay, at night, okay. If you can get a good sleep at night, perhaps around 9 p.m. is a good time for you to sleep. Okay, that's where in science that's where your melatonin hormones secreted. Okay, so 9-10 is a good time to sleep, Mr. Joe, Coach Joe. But then not more than like midnight.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so waktu tidur waktu tidur pun sangat penting. Tapi kadang-kadang ada player yang tidur awal, so dia bangun tetap sama. Kan? Dia tidur awal mana pun, kalau besok pagi tu dia bangun pukul 9, dia tetap akan bangun pukul 9. So, before training, if let's say training is start on 8, so berapa jam sebelum tu yang dicadangkan ataupun yang digalakkan oleh ataupun from your personal view ataupun untuk player tu betul-betul get the rest better untuk for the next session punya training?
Maksudnya tidur malam ke within?
Tidur malam.
I mean it's like rule of thumb is like if you can get, sebab humans is very within us, okay, 6 to 8 hours at age like what 20 to 21 years old, 23 is good enough time. I mean for them to get a good rest, and then within the training session in the morning and evening afternoon time, you might want to have like 45 minutes 35 minutes of nap time.
Okay, so is it to schedule early session of training time is the best way to nak control untuk dorang punya time tidur?
Yeah.
Okay, so ada apa-apa soalan lagi? Okay, sebelum kita pun dah hampir dekat 2 jam lah. Okay, kita dah 1 jam 38 minit. So ada sebarang soalan, kekeliruan. Okay, so macam mana yang Dr. Samar beritahu hari ni, sebenarnya kita hari ni hanya interfacing of periodization punya orang cakap konsep ataupun plan, projection. Betul Dr. Samar because periodization is part of the projection in your team punya management. Okay, so kalau kita nak cerita hari ni in detail periodization tu mungkin ambil masa, mungkin kena 4 kali 5 kali kelas dan baru kita akan betul-betul macam mana kita nak projectkan. Okay, so hari ni kita tak akan cerita how to project the periodization. Kan, as long we know, okay, what is the basic wise untuk kita susun kita punya periodization for the whole year. Kan, untuk sekolah lain. Okay, so Dr. Samar, so untuk sekolah, okay, untuk kelab, okay, untuk go for state team, adakah mekanisme dia boleh, contoh untuk tim sekolah mungkin equipment tak cukup nak buat determine everything. So ada tak boleh letak macam kita ambil is just only daripada 10 perkara, mungkin di peringkat sekolah boleh pakai 5 je. Benda yang penting. Boleh
Boleh.
Mengikut kesesuaian tim dan mengikut ni lah. Okay. So maksudnya it's not about, because daripada presentation ni juga boleh menjadi satu penanda aras kepada tim untuk dipresentkan kepada kita punya ni lah pihak sekolah dengan apa matlamat kita. So maksudnya kalau presentation tu ada, then between coach and coach dah boleh bagi tahu dah, okay, this is our team punya presentation. So nanti kalau you buat pergi training, so player saya dah berada pada tahap ni. Am I right?
Yeah.
It's part of the communication tools.
Yeah.
Okay, so ada sebarang soalan? Okay, ada sebarang soalan sebelum saya buat satu maklumat, okay, maklumat terkini. Okay, ada apa-apa sebarang soalan lain? Okay, so kalau tak ada, so saya nak berkongsi, okay, maklumat terkini, okay, So ini maklumat terkini daripada Rugby Online. Okey, ini. Okey, daripada Rugby Online. Okey, so daripada Rugby Online akan membawakan Dr. Samba, okey, and in-depth of planning on periodization. Okey, kita akan adakan dia akan adakan kelas, okey. So ada 4 sesi, okey, setiap hari Sabtu. Okey, setiap sesi tu dia ambil masa lebih kurang 3 jam. Okey, limit untuk 100 peserta sahaja. Okey, untuk yang berminat boleh scan barcode tu. Okey, you boleh scan barcode tu. Okey, dan you boleh register sebelum 24 Julai. Yang di makluman yang saya terima, kelas ini akan bermula pada 31 hari bulan Ogos. Okey, kelas ini akan bermula pada 31 hari bulan Ogos, online session. Okey, untuk part kelas tu harga dia RM50 sahaja dan boleh register. Dan dalam kelas ini, okey, you akan directly dengan beliau dan beliau akan menerangkan macam mana untuk kesesuaian dengan team you untuk buat you punya periodization. Okey. So ini terbuka kepada semua penggiat rugby dan juga terbuka kepada sukan-sukan yang lain, bukan hanya rugby. Okey, mungkin ada sukan-sukan tertentu, either bowling ke ataupun sukan-sukan lain lah. Okey, yang mana periodization ni juga merupakan tools yang boleh digunakan untuk semua jenis sukan, sama ada sukan individu ataupun sukan berpasukan. Okey, jadi untuk bertanya boleh ada nombor telefon kat bawah tu. Saya sekadar nak bertanya pasal program, jangan tanya saya periodization tu apa. Memang saya tak boleh jawab lah. So wakil daripada Rugby Online kat situ Encik Muiz pun ada. Okey, then boleh call, okey boleh tanya. Tapi okey, yang paling penting scan barcode, okey, then register dulu. Dan lepas tu, okey, baru kita boleh bincang. So sebenarnya apa you punya expectation and everything. Okey, so ini maklumat terkini lah daripada Dr. Samba kita. Okey, so jangan lambat, hanya untuk 100 orang yang pertama sahaja dalam kelas ni. Okey, sebarang pertanyaan berkenaan dengan kelas, okey, boleh teruslah untuk bertanya ataupun scan barcode. Okey. Okey, so berkenaan dengan poster ini juga akan diedarkan di dalam grup. Okey, kalau tak sempat nak scan barcode kat sini, nak balik bincang, nak fikir-fikir dulu, boleh. Okey, then nanti kita akan maklumkan kemudian. Okey, so kita dah sampai ke penghujung. Okey, so alhamdulillah. So terima kasih sekali lagi Dr. Nasno Juzaili, okey, ataupun Dr. Samba, okey, kerana dengan sesi hari ini at least kita dapat sedikit pencerahan. Kan, apa itu periodization? Nak sebut dia pun boleh belit lidah sebenarnya. Kan, 3 hari saya training untuk sebut ni je. Kan, untuk sebut periodization. Periodization lalu jadi periodization. Okey, 3 hari training tidak boleh belit lidah saya. Okey, jadi saya rasa okey, alhamdulillah, okey. Okey. Jadi untuk link kehadiran untuk mereka yang untuk mendapatkan e-certificate dan boleh ambil link tu, okey, dan boleh berhubung dengan Encik Muhammad Nafi bin Ali, okey, e-certificate yang disediakan oleh pihak Jabatan Pelajaran Negeri Johor. Terima kasih pihak JPNJ di atas kerjasama ini. Okey, so seperti biasa sebelum kita habis sesi, jadi marilah kita ambil gambar dulu, okey, kenang-kenangan dalam keadaan PKP 3.0 ni, majlis ilmu yang dapat kita adakan pada hari ini. So boleh on video dan kita ambil gambar ramai-ramai. Okey. Okey. Okey, ramai ni. Cikgu Celabai pun ada, Cikgu Naha pun, Cikgu Naha pula. Okey. Ni banyak page ni. Mr. Nasar, how are you? Nak tanya
Susun.
Periodization for golf or what? Tengah susun periodization untuk golf? Okay.
Periodization of a payment.
Oi, Allah Akbar. Cikgu Zul. Okay. Okay. So gambar pun dah selesai diambil, alhamdulillah. Okey, jadi terima kasih sekali lagi kepada Dr. Nasnor ataupun Dr. Samba di atas sesi kita pada hari ini. Okey, semoga ia bermanfaat kepada semua. Okey, kami daripada Kesatuan Rugby Negeri Johor mengucapkan terima kasih kepada semua yang hadir pada hari ini. So insya-Allah kita nantikan pada minggu hadapan apakah tajuk yang terkini. Okey. Okey, untuk sesi kita pada hari Ahad pada jam 3 hingga 5 petang. Okey. InsyaAllah kita akan bawakan lagi pakar-pakar dalam sukan rugby yang boleh membantu untuk kita membangunkan pasukan dan juga secara tidak langsung boleh membantu apa matlamat kita dalam pembentukan pasukan dalam sukan rugby. Jadi yang baik itu datang daripada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, yang kurang tu datang daripada kami sendiri. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum. Okey, so saya akan open. Okey, so siapa nak berbual, nak bersembang-sembang dan boleh terus bersembang-sembang dalam ni.